Hey guys, this is BornForPvM and welcome to my Armadyl BattleStaff testing video. I will be testing it on the following bosses: Armadyl, or Armadyl, which is what I'm going to call it in this video, Bandos, Zamorak, Saradomin, and Tormented demons. Now first up on the list is Armadyl. So as you can see, there is a picture. Okay, here's the real kill, sped up 4x. And then I will leave one kill not sped up. I did pick some of the best kills, obviously, because I don't want to just show you the shit kills where I just splashed 10 times. But for Arma, I'm going to go ahead and say not to solo with it. It could. I also wouldn't do it in the team either. So for this, I would definitely use ranged. Is the only really good option at the moment for Arma. And this is a kill that's not sped up. So here you can see got a nice hit right off the bat, and just a little bit of information while you watch me kill Arma boss, which is Kriera. The Armadyl staff speeds up the Armadyl storm spell by I think it's approximately 20% is what I read somewhere, and it's a little bit slower than a rapier, I believe. And the max hit of the spell with the staff is about 490. I'm not certain if it is exactly that. Actually, I think it's like about around 480, a little bit closer to 480. And yeah, without the staff, you can still do, I think, just as much damage, but it is slower. So I really want to use this spell without the staff. The staff is really the only reason this spell is amazing. And as you can see, it does take down the boss pretty quickly. And one of the worst things about using the spell on bosses is not the offensive side of it, but the defensive side. And next up is Bandos God Wars. So Bandos, once again, same problem as with Arma. You don't have as much defense as what you would in Torva against what the boss attacks with and what you can't pray against, which would be ranged for the most part. So you do get you get torn, but it's quick and it's fun. So if you have a set of Virtus lying around, I'll go do it just for the heck of it. You know, again, this isn't a guide. This is just me testing it. So don't expect, professional methods and all that kind of stuff. I'm just showing you how it works. I would say it's about the same damage per second as a rapier or a CLS. However, it is not the most logical option to use because you do get destroyed in this low defensive armor, and wearing Bandos or Torva or even some sort of barrels equipment would be much better. Now, I did show the 2 fastest kills that I got with this spell out of about 10 to 15 kills, and so you may be thinking, oh, it's pretty slow and everything, but again, I didn't use a spec weapon, so you got to take into consideration that I could have had it down to half or even less life points with 2 claw specials and just gone from there. Again, you lose a lot more brews doing Bandos, so overall, don't use it at Bandos, don't use it at Armadyl. And as you can see, I just finished off the kill count, and here is another kill on Bandos. This was the fastest kill, I believe, that I had, and I was using a Steel Titan. It didn't do that much damage compared to what the staff of Armadyl and the spell did, but it did help out a little bit, which is probably why it was the fastest kill. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really else to say. It's decent here. I do like how Mage is actually, compared to barraging, this is a lot better, I would say. Even though it is nice to have the freeze from the ice barrage, this is still faster. As you see, that was a pretty fast kill, especially considering the fact that I didn't use a spec weapon either. Up next is Zamorak. So here we are entering the room. As you can see, after ROTM, the Zamorak General, or whatever you want to call him, Krill, he got a graphical update, which looks pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. And I think, yeah, they did a really good job with the graphics. And that kill was sped up 4x. So is the minions here. And up next is the fastest kill I had with magic, which compared to using melee without a spec weapon and using magic without a spec weapon, magic seemed to be a little bit faster, but then again, my sample size was extremely small, which is only about 3 kills. So I can't go based off anything and say it's a fact. So here's the kill. Again, I use a lot more food than what I did when I meleeed, so not the most logical option for a solo. However, in a team, it might be worth it, considering in teams you're not so stressing the food factor as much as you are the speed or the not getting crashed part. So yeah, I could see this being used in a team perhaps, because in a team, you know, you could just have one tanker and melee, and then you can have 4 majors standing around just owning the boss. So yep, it looks like magic might have a place in PvM, but then again, you never know until you test it, and I haven't tested it in a team. So yeah, here we are rounding to the end of the boss kill, and you gotta admit, that is a pretty fast kill. Considering it's magic, that's pretty amazing. I'm very pleased with that. And up next is something I'm not very pleased with, and that would be Saradomin. It sucks ass at Saradomin. It's horrible. I would never... I got 3 kills that trip, trying my hardest, trying my heart out. And yeah, using entangles and everything. It's just, this is the fastest kill, sped up 4x. And most of the kills were, well, the 3 kills that I had, most of them, the majority of them were above 5 minutes in length, which is just horrible. I'm pretty certain with melee you can get this boss down in 30 minutes, or what, 30 seconds to a minute. So, yep, and you do lose a lot more food doing this instead of melee, so nope, don't use it here. This is by far the worst boss you could use it at of the God Wars generals. Besides the next. I mean, I went next with it, and I'm not even going to show the footage because it's just me splashing for 10 minutes in a 5-man team. And on the last phase, you can't even use magic on Nex anyway, so yeah, just Nex and Sarah, completely useless, this spell. And while you go ahead and watch the rest of this kill, I'll explain a few more things that I didn't mention in the first bit of the video, and that is the spell, the spell has a minimum hit of 110, and then whatever your damage modifiers you have, which would be the percentage at the bottom. And also it does, every time it hits, actually I think it's just every cast, it lowers the defense of the opponent by 1. So that might be useful in some situations. And last but certainly not least is Tormented Demons, my second favorite boss behind Nex. Here we go. I am using Dragon Claws as a special weapon, Rapier as a normal hitting weapon, and the Steel Titan as the attacking familiar, because these do prayer switch, so I can't use just magic. So I will show you some of the fast kills that I got, which most of them varied between 15 and 30 seconds, which is pretty quick. I would definitely recommend doing it if you want to switch it up a bit. Again, the cost efficiency isn't as good as just melee and ranged, but it is in some situations faster than melee and ranged. Some situations it's slower, and it is a lot more difficult, considering that the left click on the spell is an auto cast instead of a just regular cast. Like Barrage is just a regular cast, which makes it hard to switch to the Rapier and your other items that you want to switch to, and then you got to go and switch the attack style. It's more effort, and it does get annoying. And also the spell in the spell book is pretty small too. And I would say that the spell is the most effective at Tormented Demons than it is on any of the other 4 bosses that I previously shown you. It hits more accurate than a Rapier about, and it's just generally a good spell. And demons have been weak to magic. In general, demons are weak to magic, so that would explain why this spell works pretty well on the demon itself. But again, you gotta remember, I'm in full Virtus. I'm not in Arams or Mystic, so you may be thinking, oh, he's getting faster kills than I get, it must be better. Not necessarily. I am in the max gear that you can possibly get, and there's not really much else to say. Yeah, it would be. I know some people try Tormented Demons, where each person has a different attack style, so there's always 2 attack styles hitting at the same time. Now, personally, I don't do Tormented Demons anymore, and I never actually did that. But this spell would be so much. I mean, I can't even explain how much better it would be than barraging. So if you were going to do that method, definitely use this spell with this staff, and it would be really effective. Actually, I could see it being better. And that was the last kill I'm going to show. I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed. Also, for anyone concerned, I made a second PK video with the Armadyl BattleStaff, and just click on the screen or the link in the description to check that out.